Hello, this is Builder Dominic and welcome to another LEGO review. Today we'll be looking at the LEGO Star Wars set 75105 Millennium Falcon. The set came out in 2015, has 1,329 pieces, and was designed for kids 9 to 14. The Millennium Falcon is the most famous hunk of junk in the galaxy, and although it is probably the most popular of the Star Wars vehicles, LEGO has not made that many of them, and that's because its circular design and amount of pieces needed make it a very complex build, and so it's not very easy to create the Millennium Falcon. Now, this particular version is based off the new Force Awakens movie, which is kind of Disney's reboot of the series. The bottom of the ship doesn't have a lot of detail, but as you can see, it does have 4 landing gears, which is great for lifting it off the ground and display, as well as a laser cannon underneath that spins 360 degrees to take out enemy ships or, troops that are trying to prevent it from taking off. Now I'm going to turn the Millennium Falcon around just so you can see all of the different angles here. You've got, the 2 lights and also lasers or cannons that shoot out the front. And then, a nice groove in the side here, which is, very similar to the film. You got a cockpit, which we'll take a closer look at later. And now, as we turn around, I want you to look at these individual pieces. They're part of the roof that folds up. Well, each one of these is made individually and then snapped onto the side. And if you look, they're all just a little bit different to make sure that every angle of the Millennium Falcon looks unique and different. Here you just got a little handle to make it different. The only thing to mention about these little things is because they're just kind of snapped onto the side, it makes a great look, but it's not a very firm build. So if you're going to be playing with this, it's you're going to lose pieces and have pieces fall off if you're not careful, because it's not a very firm build. And here in the back they put a nice little blue tube to make it look like it's the engines firing, the ion engines, the Millennium Falcon kind of hurtling it through space. And now as we come to the other side, you're going to see that satellite dish. And in the new Force Awakens movie, it was a rectangular satellite dish, and it doesn't have a full movement, just a little back and forth here. But in the original trilogy, it was circular. And then we're going to take a closer look now at some of these features on the Millennium Falcon. You don't enter the Millennium Falcon through the cockpit. Instead you go up the ramp and then come out the back and enter the cockpit. So for that reason, it doesn't swing open and allow the minifigure to fit inside. Instead, you have to take the entire canopy off, and you can kind of see the 3 places where it attaches. And it's very easy to take on and off at those latch points. And you can see the cockpit itself just in an empty piece of plastic, very simple. And now the description says that 2 minifigures can fit inside, but really you're only going to get 1 minifigure in there, and they've only got 1 seat, and there's this little control panel here, the stick to be the controls, and then there's a slant brick here to put the buttons on. In the front, you've got these 2 lights, and just behind those lights is a missile launcher. And what you do is you get these missiles here, and the set comes with 3, which is good because this thing fires really well and far, so chances are you might lose one of these missiles. But there's a little ridge there, and that it faces up, and you put it inside the tube and you just kind of snap it into place. And then here in the little kind of manhole cover, there's an opening to put your finger in and launch it. Now I've kind of got bigger adult fingers, so it's hard for me to get in there, but a kid's will be fine. And then you just launch it, and you can see how powerful that thing shoots out. The top cannon looks exactly like the bottom cannon, and it can swivel 360 degrees, so you can take out enemies from any direction they might be attacking. A top-down shot is the best way to really see the shape of the Millennium Falcon, that unique shape that just everybody recognizes as the Millennium Falcon. This angle also shows us all the rust spots that are on top of the Millennium Falcon, because although the ship was well cared for, it was a hunk of junk and always falling apart. So you kind of see that detail of the rust on the roof. And this angle will show us how we get into the vehicle itself. So the interior of the Millennium Falcon can be accessed by kind of moving this front piece, which is on a hinge. You just move that forward, and then all the other roof plates just easily flip upward to reveal the interior of the Millennium Falcon. And these aren't attached to anything, so they easily flip up. And then once we have the interior of the Millennium Falcon, we can put our minifigures inside and kind of set up different scenes. In the center is the gun seat where you would operate the top and bottom turrets of the Millennium Falcon to take out any fighters that are following you. And to the right of that gun turret controls is the hidden compartment that you would use to smuggle goods or perhaps hide if you were being boarded by stormtroopers. In the front corner of the ship is the famous hologram game where Chewbacca and R2-D2 are playing, and then, we learn that Wookiees tend to tear your arm sockets out if they lose, so we let the Wookiee win. In the rear right of the ship, we've got 2 beds, and these beds could have been sleeping quarters, but they're more likely, the medical bay where, our heroes were constantly finding themselves. Luke Skywalker gets his hand cut off, Chewbacca gets shot, so here's a little bed that you can put our heroes on if they've been injured. In the rear of the ship, you've got the engine where, you've got some turbines and vents and, a little compartment here. And as I turn it around, you're going to see like a hose just running on the floor itself because, the Millennium Falcon was constantly being ripped up and kind of torn apart to keep it running in space so it doesn't just die and float out in endless space. And you can see like, a crate without its top and barrels and, the unorganized mess that was the interior of the Millennium Falcon. Of course, we have to start our minifigure reviews from the Millennium Falcon with Han Solo, since he is the one true captain. And the Han Solo minifigure looks amazing. He's got these solid black leg piece pants, but the holster around his hip with his trusty blaster at his side. You got the open white undershirt, and then his brown jacket with lots of detailed pockets and those little silver things in his upper chest pocket. And it's important because we know it's a new jacket, like he tells Leia in The Force Awakens. And of course, Harrison Ford is now 70 instead of 30, so they did a great job kind of aging the face with the lines and the gray eyebrows and of course the gray hairpiece. And he's got that kind of little wavy, mouth closed, kind of more gritted expression. As I turn him around, you get a better view of his blaster that he has, and the plain brown jacket and black leg pieces. And then there's some ripples on the back of his jacket there, but other than that, just plain brown. And then he has 2 expressions. We've got that first expression with the closed mouth that I was talking about, and then when you turn it around, you get the Harrison Ford crooked, cocky smile that he is well known for. And of course, when you have Han Solo, you know that Chewbacca is not far behind. And before I go into the minifigure itself, I want to take a look at this blaster that he has, the crossbow blaster that Chewbacca holds, this powerful weapon that, really it takes a Wookiee strength to handle, but, Han Solo did get to shoot it off in The Force Awakens. Now you're going to see this little lever here, and what you do is you push down that lever, and that red round stud fires out. So what you do is you just push down, and then the red stud fires out, and it's got a lot of force. And luckily they give you a lot of those little red studs because chances are you're gonna lose them because this thing has a lot of power, and you just simply slide that red stud in there again to reload it. Now the Chewbacca minifigure is really cool because of the painting. They really do a great job with texturing the colors. He's mostly this dark brown color, but you get these patches of light brown fur on his knees and on his face that just give him so much more life. And then of course you've got these white fangs to really help pronounce his teeth. You've got the silver ammunition belt just strapped over his shoulder, but yet brown kind of mixed in because his shaggy body is kind of covering it. And then here you're going to see like a regular minifigure torso piece and this huge head, and that's how you make Chewbacca's, by putting this huge headpiece on a regular minifigure torso. And because of that, he only has one facial expression, but you can see the ammunition belt there kind of continues down his back, and it's just a really great minifigure. And I'm glad to see that the Wookiees are getting a lot more detail because they've become such a larger part of the Star Wars universe since the prequels came out and now the sequels. The Rey minifigure looks amazing. Of course she has these, the kind of the raggedy clothes that she wears through most of the film, but it's this face here that I love because you've got this very neutral face, but they put freckles on her cheek, and that's great because it's yes, she's young and youthful, but she works out in the Jakku sun looking for junk, and so I love the fact that you've already kind of got that sun damage from working out in that sun. And then as I turn her around, you get a better view of the blaster that she comes with. It's that silver blaster that Han Solo gave her to because he knew he could take care of herself. That's why he gave him the blaster. And the hairpiece, I love this hairpiece with those little like curls in the back. You can almost see the bands holding it together, and it just really captures her hairstyle in the film. And then, you know, her top with like the fabric kind of crisscrossing around and being tied together with a belt is captured on the top, but the torso piece is just a flat color. And so I turn around, you're just going to hair and how it's styled again. And, you know, like most Star Wars minifigures, she does come with two expressions. She's got this more neutral expression, but if I turn her head around, you're going to see the more stern and serious expression. And, you know, she does wear that in a lot of the film because she is a frustrated youth that she's trying to figure out, you know, where her parents are and her place in the universe. I also really like the thin minifigure that comes in the set. You know, he's got the plain black legs because, you know, that's kind of what he wore underneath his Stormtrooper outfit. But he's got Poe's jacket on because this is after, you know, he's on the Millennium Falcon and he thinks Poe is dead. And the amount of detail in that jacket with the zippers, the pockets, the little red stripes, it's just great to see so much detail in these torso pieces. And it shows how far we've come from, like, you know, the first Millennium Falcon back in, like, the early 2000s. And his face here is just kind of got a stern expression on it. And as I turn him around, you get a better look at his larger blaster that he comes with, you know, because as a Stormtrooper, he was used to carrying heavier weapons. And then not as much detail on the back of the jacket, but, you know, there wasn't a lot of detail on the back of the jacket in the film, so I am okay with that. And then as we turn him around, he's got that serious expression, and then when we turn around, it's a more like gritted, in danger, baring his teeth expression. So both his expressions are very intense and serious in this minifigure. BB-88 is a very interesting minifigure because, you know, the droid himself was just kind of a ball with the head floating on top of it. So the way that Lego did that was you just got this circular brick piece and then you put his head on top of it to create the BB-88 droid. And he's a really cool looking droid. Turn him around so you can kind of see all the different sides. And I love the patterns that they were able to etch into the side of these balls. And if you look at his face, very good detailed droid face going on. Tazu Leech was a head of the Conja Club gang, and, you know, I probably massacred both those pronunciations, so please correct me in the comment section below if I did. But he's a really cool looking minifigure. He's got these black leg pieces with like just some brown fabric for like the shorts, and then on the torso you've got this kind of like utilitarian vest with like pockets and gear and like almost like armor, because, you know, he's going to want that as he boards ships and, you know, takes what he wants because he's a pirate. And I love this little hair piece that he has here. As I turn it around, you see it's kind of got these like large wisps of hair that kind of go towards the chin and a ponytail in the back. And then I love his gun, you know, the blaster. It looks like an old-time pirate gun that would shoot like an old musket ball or something out of it. And then as I turn him around, a better view of that ponytail on the back of his head, as well as like the buckles that are holding that vest in front up. And, you know, he was talking to Han Solo aboard the Millennium Falcon to get his money back. So you've kind of got this more, you know, negotiation, straight face, where's my money, Han Solo? And then, of course, you know, Han Solo talking his way out of everything, or trying to. You've got the more like upset, like, I want my money, attack! And we have one generic Conja Club gang member, and, you know, I love that their leader comes with a small little pistol, and, you know, he comes with a larger rifle, but again, still looks kind of like that old-timey pirate musket look. But of course, it's a laser beam because this is a space. And I love him because he's more militaristic in his appearance. He's got kind of this camouflage torso piece, and, you know, he's got the belt with, you know, a satchel for his gun and a grenade here on his right leg, and, you know, of course, his headpiece here, he's got an eye patch over his right eye, and then this like bandana around his head. And as I turn him around, simple, you know, brown and gray coloring, but on the back, you know, he's got another bag for either, you know, carrying away loot or packing more weapons, and belts kind of holding it all together. But it's interesting, this headpiece, you know, this helmet or this bandana around his head, it goes all the way around and covers the back of his head, but he only comes with this one facial expression, and I guess that's what you get for being like the generic gang member. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and you can click on the image to watch another video. Thank you.